All right, this is Adrienne coming to you from sunny Orlando, known as the Strategy Lady. And I guess the first thing I wanted to let you know is that the best laid plans sometimes can just go haywire. I mean, sometimes the world just doesn't want you to be great. And what you have to do in that situation is come up with another strategy. Hi, LaTanya. I'm on your page having a really great time. So my friend LaTanya asked me to pop in here on your page today and just talk a little bit about strategy, because that's what I do. I'm a person that I see steps in everything. And I have to tell you, my association with LaTanya has really helped me get clear on some things that I needed to do in my own business. I am a business coach, a strategic business advisor. And if you have never, ever been to a L.I.S.T tour event, you must go. Your business will never be the same. So while I was at my very first L.I.S.T tour in Atlanta a couple of years ago, I was talking to one of the speakers that she had there, because they're all so phenomenal. And I was trying to describe what it was that I wanted to do, because I was having some challenges with branding, because yes, even coaches need coaches. And so just out of conversation, we came up with the acronym, your funds are in the fundamentals. Now, one thing you'll learn about me is I love acronyms. And the reason that I love acronyms is because it's easier for you to remember. So if you've got pen and paper with you, I want you to just write funds down one side of the paper, FUND. But instead of the S, can you make a dollar sign and then make another one, because I'm going to fill in all of that space for you. So one of the things that happens, and I actually went out and did a poll on social media, and I asked people why they became entrepreneurs in the first place. Many people do it because they just want control over their time. Other people do it because they want to get paid what they feel like they're worth. And then also some people become entrepreneurs because that's just the thing that they've wanted to do their whole entire life. And those are the main responses that I got. But the only challenge with that, and those are all really good reasons to become an entrepreneur, but that puts your business very me focused. And once you get to the place where, okay, this is what I want to do, I'm going to start this business, then many of us, we just run right out, we grab business cards, we throw up a website, and then we take the field of dreams approach. If I build it, they will come. And then we try to figure out why our businesses are not growing. And so what I try to do is help people to understand one or two of the steps that they may have forgotten in the beginning, so then they can kind of get all of that taken care of, and then their business can grow. They'll have the business that they dreamed about. So the first thing you need to do if you're going to be a business is find a problem you can solve that people will pay you for, right? Because businesses are in business to make money. Even if you're a nonprofit has to make money. And if you're not making any kind of money at all, you're a charity, right? So you need to find a problem that you can solve. Once you've identified the problem you can solve, then what you need to do is understand the industry. You need to understand, the laws. You need to understand how technology affects it. And so I actually did this presentation in a workshop this weekend. So I'll give you a little bit of it. Think about a bar of soap, right? If I decide that I have very sensitive skin, and so I want to go in the soap making business, I need to find out everything there is about the soap industry. I need to know who buys soap. I need to know who buys homemade soap, organic soap. I need to understand not only the industry, but my capabilities. I mean, can I really make soap without burning my kitchen down? And so over the course of doing all of that research, I may find a niche, right? That's what the N is. So the F was find a problem you can solve. The U is understanding your industry and your capabilities. The N is for a niche, right? So while I was doing all of this research, I realized that I actually have sensitive skin. So I've decided that I'm going to create my own brand of soap for people who have sensitive skin, who, a bar of soap that's going to work for the entire family. It's going to be made out of all natural ingredients. And so now I've gone from the health and beauty aids industry down to the soap making business, down to I'm going to do the homemade, and it's going to be all natural and organic products. So now, you're probably thinking, okay, I'm clear. I know exactly what it is I want to do. Now, can I run out and get my business cards? No, not yet. Because you have to figure out who is going to buy the product or service that you're selling. You don't want to be the person that every time you're around anybody in the family, you're always trying to sell to them because you don't know who your target audience is. And then you go out on Facebook and talk about how we don't support each other and we have to do better and all of that kind of foolishness. If you get clear about who needs their problem solved and you can convince them that you have the answer to that problem, then you don't have to worry about people not inviting you to family events because they don't want to buy not one more whatever it is that you're selling. So you have to understand your demographics, and demographics is just your statistical information: age, sex, religion, whether they live in the suburbs. Now, if your demographic, if you say that my ideal client or my target demographic is age 18 to 65, that's too broad. You're trying to talk to everybody, and that's why you're not reaching anybody. If you try to talk to a 65-year-old person in the same way you talk to an 18-year-old person, one of the two of them is not going to know what you're talking about. So you have to decide, this is the target demographic that I'm going to work with. And then you have to deal with the psychographics, which that's just basically a fancy way of saying you need to get inside their head and understand why they buy, why they make the decisions that they do. And I'm going to tell you a really great way to do that, right? If you can find about 5 people, if you don't have any clients, or the 5 clients, your top favorite clients, right? And go on Facebook and click that about button. I was amazed when I did it on myself how much information I found out about me, because I check in restaurants and hotels, and whenever I'm in an airport, I check in. And so on the one hand, I was like, this is creepy. Facebook knows all of this about me. But on the other hand, it's a marketer's dream, right? So if you can go in and you can understand the demographics, then you need to put in your systems and your sales strategy. Because now that you know who your ideal client is and you know what it is that makes them buy, now you need to package it and you need to create a system so that you can deliver it to them in the way that you want them, in the way that they want to receive it. And let me tell you what I mean by that. 10 years ago, I did a motivational CD called What's Holding You Back. It was great. Every time I stood up to speak somewhere, people wanted to buy it. But when was the last time you bought a CD? You hear something you want to buy, you go to iTunes and download it. So that's a product that when I first created it, that was the way that people wanted it. Now they want it in iTunes. So if I don't shift and deliver the product in a way that people want to receive it, then I'm not going to be selling the product either. And it's not because people don't want it. It's because they don't want it the way I want to give it to them, right? Does that make sense? And then after that, you need to talk about your sales, your sales strategy, your marketing strategy, and then your branding. Now, why did I put branding last? So often when we are going into our business, the first thing we do is we want to get our logo, we pick our colors, and we haven't done the research to understand, is that visual representation actually reaching our ideal clients? Are our colors actually attracting or repelling? So over the course of all that industry research that I had you doing, which is really, when you were understanding your industry, which is really the non-sexy part about doing your business in the first place, you find out so much about them that you'll be able to package your products and you'll be able to create your brand in a way that speaks to them. Now, don't fall so in love with your brand that you kill your business. I actually did a video on my page, and I did not name the company, but there was a company up north. It was called Derriere Ice Cream. Their logo was like, it was a cow, but it had a human butt and some other things going. And people were like, I want to take my family to get ice cream, but I don't want my children to see that. And they went back and forth, and that logo, which the owners loved, repelled their ideal clients so much that they ended up going out of business. So when you talk about your sales strategy, you talk about whether you want to, how you want to price it. Don't try to be the low cost leader. You do not want to get in a race to the bottom. If you give someone your price, that's your price. Stick to your price. You have to be confident enough in the products and services that you offer that you've done the research, you know what the price is. Also, don't always lead with price, because if you were doing your research, you will find even with soap, some people don't care what the soap costs. They care about what it does to their skin. I had a young lady sell me a $6 bar of soap because she told me if I was taking a bath in grocery store soap, that I might as well be taking a bath in Tide. Nobody wants to take a bath in Tide, at least nobody that I know. So I paid $6 for a bar of soap and never looked back. So don't assume that people are already always motivated by price. A customer that's motivated by price, they're not going to be loyal. They're always going to just look for the lowest. So if you make logos, let's say for $300, and then you give your price and someone says, well, Joe Blow will make it for me for $200, then Joe Blow, you may want to go with Joe Blow. If you really want the client, you may want to add value. But every one of my clients that has let someone talk them down on their price has regretted it later. And then I had to end up giving them a strategy for how to fire that particular client. So just running through the steps again. Your funds are in the fundamentals. If you can master the very basics of building a business, that's where your money is. You don't want to be, to use a analogy from scripture, you don't want to build your business on sand. You want to take the time to put in the proper building blocks so that you can have the business that you dreamed about, and so your business can be profitable. So again, find a problem that you can solve. You understand the industry and your capabilities. N, you need to niche naturally. D, you need to understand the demographics and the psychographics of your ideal client. The first S is for putting in the systems that's going to support your business. And then the second one, which I call my dollar signs also, is the sales and marketing strategy. And we always put the branding at the end. So that's just a shortened Reader's Digest condensed version, if you will, of my program. Your funds are in the fundamentals. Hopefully that'll help some of you out. If you have any questions, if you just drop them here in this group, I will certainly run back and try to answer them for you. And again, as if LaTanya, I don't know where everyone in this particular group is, but if she is ever coming in your neighborhood or close enough where you can jump on an airplane, you need to go to the L.I.S.T tour. If you come to Atlanta, I'll be able to give you a hug because I'm going to be there for those 2 days and bring somebody with me. But she is just so amazing and so committed to helping all of us grow our businesses that this year, if you can get to a L.I.S.T tour, you need to be there. They're so good, I might end up going to 2. So having said that, if I don't see any other questions coming up, again, my name is Adrienne Jenkins Hunt. I am the Strategy Lady. You can find me on my website, www.huntsbiz.com. That's HUNTSBIZ.com. And you can find me on all social media platforms on Huntsbiz 18, because I'll tell you later about the plan. Do I believe a business plan is necessary? Absolutely, positively, but let me quantify that. I have a friend. She has a brick and mortar building, a daycare center, She wanted to get government funding. She wrote a 60-page business plan. Most people don't need that, right? But you need to do some kind of planning. You know, you need to know the end from the beginning. You know, even in scripture, it says, write the vision down and make it plain. One of the reasons that I came up with that acronym, Your Funds Are in the Fundamentals, is because they match a small business checklist that I created. That if you go through and complete that checklist, you have everything that you need to start putting together a business plan, and then definitely have an executive summary. I believe that most businesses fail for a couple of reasons, but the ones I primarily deal with is either there was a lack of planning, which means that you missed a step, or there was some type of skill set that I needed to teach the entrepreneur so that they could go ahead and build their business. But I believe in planning, but also I don't believe that we should all have the same goal. And here's what I mean. In many of the social media groups I'm in, unless you can boast that your business is 6 and 7 figure income, they think you're not successful. I always teach my clients that success, whatever that means to you, starts with a plan. And the part that I get them to focus on is the whatever that means to you, because success means different things for each of us, right? I'm at a place where, for me, my family situation was such that for a couple of years, me just not running out of money and shutting down was success. But now that that situation has changed, I have different ideas of what success is. I was at a meeting last night and the guy was like, I want everybody in this room to get $1.5 million worth of revenue this year. I said, okay, that's beautiful. We're going to work on a plan. Something else that I also wanted to mention, I'm launching a new website this week, because I also do, some more ministry, motivational kind of stuff. And the reason that I actually have 2 different websites now, we're launching one, is because a confused customer doesn't buy. I'm a blogger and a writer. I've got several books out. And what I was finding was people were following me in one place. So I was putting business stuff, but I had people who were following me for motivational stuff. And then when I put the motivational stuff out, the business people were like, I don't want to see that. And so now it messes up your click-through rate on your emails and all that kind of stuff. And then after a while, I would write stuff and didn't even know where to put it. So I just got quiet and said, okay, I need to find a way to figure that out. And so for some people, you may need to look at, especially if you're very ministry minded or you really find yourself playing in 2 different spaces. So Hunt's Business Solution is kind of like my day job. And then my 2 cents page, which is where I do more personal blogging. I'll do a poem. I even wrote a poem last year and all of that kind of stuff. The motivational Monday and all of that. I put that on that page, and the people that are over there, they follow me there, versus on a Monday night on the business side, I'll do Make It Happen Monday. And so that was just a strategy that I had to do, because customers wasn't buying because I was confused. Even I didn't know what I was doing. And so a confused customer doesn't buy. But because I had the wisdom, if you will, to step back and say, okay, what's wrong? Because you never want to stay married to a bad decision. And what worked last year is not necessarily going to work for you this year. So you just step back and say, okay, this is the direction that I'm going to go in now. Also, it's January. I know I'm talking a lot. I do that, but LaTanya knew that when she invited me in. It's January. I know in this particular group, LaTanya had us look at in this page, it was looking at our email. People who are not opening your email and stuff, you need to, if you can't get a re-engagement campaign going, take them off your list. They're messing up your numbers. Do the same thing with social media. I looked at my social media the other day and I said, yeah, it's the beginning of the year. It's time for me to do that social media audit as well. Also, if LaTanya will allow me, and I'm just put this out here, and if she says I can't do it, then, that's fine. But I will email to her this small business checklist that I have. And maybe that's just something that'll give you all some guidance as you're working on putting together your business plan, because it should be a living, breathing document. If you're going to go through all of the acronyms that I gave you, don't write everything up and just throw it in the drawer. Look at it quarterly. Make sure you still know that you're going in the right direction, because things happen. Something can happen. You can have a shift. I know a friend of mine that's a nurse, and she's a chemotherapy nurse. As a matter of fact, she's my husband's chemotherapy nurse. And they were getting a lot of their supplies out of Puerto Rico. Well, when the storm came, they couldn't get those supplies anymore. So instead of telling the clients, okay, we can't give you chemotherapy anymore, they had to find another source. So you need to always just be looking, paying attention to what's going on, and make sure that you're following people that are industry leaders. I know a lot of people don't like Twitter. Twitter is a great library, because on Facebook you have to send somebody a friend request and then they have to accept you, which if you're associated with LaTanya, I know you're a wonderful person and everybody wants to accept you. But if you go over to Twitter, you can connect yourself to industry leaders, and they don't have to know you, but all you are doing is getting research. So when they drop their list about what are the trends in your industry for next year, this and that, you can get on top of that. And then you can go back, and then now you can start talking about it in your group, or you can be prepared. I think it was October. A whole lot of people were... they were like, oh my God, because WordPress did an update on websites. Well, I wasn't surprised because my web person told me that it was coming. And so they prepared. So how about if you had been following WordPress because you're a website developer and that's where your people are, and then you were following the influencers that do web design and things like that, you would have known that. So now you start talking about that on your page. And now when people start thinking about their websites, they're like, oh, I need to call Joe Bubblegum because he's been talking about websites. See, what we do is we put stuff out there. And then when people don't buy right away, we just get up. No, you want just to be on top of people's mind so that when they are ready to buy, they think of you. When I think conferences, one of the first things I do is, okay, let me see when LaTanya's having a L.I.S.T tour, because she knows I rotate. I go to Atlanta one year and I go to L.A. the next, and I don't know, maybe I'll just, okay, so an influencer is someone, probably the best way to do. You ever have a celebrity do something and then all of a sudden everybody else did it? There was a situation at my church. The pastor's wife changed her hair. And then that next Sunday, man, you couldn't throw a rock and not hit somebody that didn't have their hair the same way. That's an influencer. That's someone that can get out there in the market. And when they do something, or if they say this is a really good idea, then other people go and do it. And people will pay for people to come and be an influencer on their products. So the whole time that I've been talking about the L.I.S.T tour, right? In the Orlando area, I'm kind of a little bit of an influencer. So when I come to Atlanta, I'm taking 3 people with me just because I told them LaTanya's amazing. They don't know her. I don't even know that they follow her. But because they respect what I say, then they're going to do what, so if I say, this is good, do this, or if they ask me, hey, Adrienne, do you think I should do it? And I'm like, I don't know, then they're not. So hopefully that answered your question about what an influencer is. Any other ones? This is so much fun. I love doing Facebook Lives. I have to do my own later on tonight, but. So hopefully you got something out of this Facebook Live that we did tonight. LaTanya says, I'm so wise. That's because I go to the L.I.S.T tour, girl. I got all this wisdom from you guys. So again, feel free to follow me on my business page, Huntsbiz. You can just search for Strategy Lady and you'll find me there. I'm on Twitter. I'm on social media, and I have promised myself I am going to create a strategy so I can be more consistent on LinkedIn. So anytime I can be of any service to you or answer a question, feel free to just reach out. I'm more than glad to help, because when it's all said and done, we're all about growing all of our businesses together. All right. So is there anything else, LaTanya, or you want me to jump off now? She's pausing. So this is the strategy lady. I am out, and I will get that document I'll get it to LaTanya sometime this evening, because I don't know what time it is here, but it's, this is dark here, and I think y'all are still in daylight there. But I will get that to her so that she can put that in. So, all right, you guys have a great rest of your week. This is the strategy lady saying, make it happen Monday, and have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.